This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the ARCast.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the ARCast. My name is Buddha, and I'm here today. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning, man, and I got my boy right here with me. I'm so grateful. Hit him up a couple weeks ago, asked him if he would be willing to come through and share his testimony. He obliged and came through. He's got an amazing swag about him. I'm excited to introduce the world to him. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to my homeboy, Luis Gaxiola. Had to say the name like that, dog. You already know. Got power behind that name, brother.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, bro. Grateful. I was doing a lot of reflecting on the way over here, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you also, where are you working right now, brother?
So I work with Hope Incorporated in Nogales. I'm the site coordinator.
That's awesome. How long you been doing that?
For site coordinators, 2 years. 2 years. So before we were Hope, we were Wellness Connection. Okay. And then we merged. So I've been with them for 5 years now in total.
That's what's up. We had Chris Chavez in here recently. Shout out to Chris, man. Thank you for coming through. Amazing story. Good dude. Excited to have you back again. And, dude, whenever you want to come through, I'd love to have you back again too, bro.
Thank you, bro. You just let me know. I'm here.
It was crazy because, me and Martin were talking. And he goes, hey, bro, we started talking about, bringing people in. And he goes, I have a homeboy that I would love. He's got an amazing story. I would love to get him in here. And then it wasn't like 10 seconds into the phone call, you were like, what up, Buddha? I was like, oh, shit, I didn't realize it was you, man. Yeah. So once we got that going, I was really excited to have you in here, man. And I appreciate you making the trip down here, too.
No, I appreciate you just for having me, bro. I think, again, what you're doing, these discussions, I think they're crucial to people. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So thank you for your service.
Hey, brother, thank you for coming. I know it takes a bit of, being vulnerability and being open and stuff, to discuss certain things that we've been through. But the only hopes, and we talk about this all the time, is that with every single story and everybody who comes in here, that the person on the other end listening is going to get something from it and hopefully change their life. And, because, that's the biggest thing with every story that I hear, at least, is that community, being a part of it and being around people that give you hope to let you know that you're not alone, right?
Right.
So site coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Whew. It sounds like a rough job, brother.
It could be.
So like what do you do on a daily basis? What's part of your routine?
So honestly, bro, it's, just in the name, coordination, right? A lot of coordination at treatment centers, a lot of coordination with like state probation, federal probation, other agencies. But also what pertains to my job is like I have to make sure that all the vehicles are running smooth, to make sure that the staff has what they need to provide the services. So like vehicles is one, the building is another. When staff like have ideas for different like curriculums, kind of start like looking into that. But at the end of the day, it's I'm the right-hand person to the director.
Okay.
So whatever the director like asks for, whatever she needs, I go out and I look for it, I find it and bring it in.
That's awesome.
I also facilitate, groups, bro. So I'm certified on smart recovery. I'm certified for seeking safety, MRT, the moral recognition therapy. And those are the three groups that I facilitate right there.
That's awesome, man. And you get an opportunity to still be real close with the clients and get to build relationships with them, which is super important too. So, where are you from, dude? Were you born here in Arizona?
No, I was actually born in Nogales, Sonora.
Oh, wow.
I'm from Mexico. I was brought to Nogales, Arizona, like maybe 3-4 days after my birth.
Okay.
But the thing is, it wasn't consistent in the beginning. I was always like brought back to my grandma's house because my mom worked a lot. So when she would work, she had nobody to take care of me. So I was always brought back to Mexico, and I was back and forth. I think it was like second grade where it was more solid. My sister was old enough to like take care of us right there. And that's when I actually like stayed here.
Oh, okay.
And so I went to school here. And then in 2000, that's when I moved to Tucson. So I lived with like a solid 7-8 years in Nogales. And then I was 17 years in Tucson and then went back in 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you bounced around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Did you have any siblings and stuff growing up? Are you only child or anything?
No, I got two sisters, two older sisters. I'm the youngest. I was always like super family oriented. So a bunch of cousins, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Aunts, uncle, well, traditional Mexican family.
Both sides, huh?
Yeah. So
That's cool. And how were you in school, dude? Were you a good student? Did you get into sports or anything like that?
So yeah, I've always been into sports. Let's just say from like kinder to second grade, amazing student. Amazing. Honor roll, you know, perfect attendance type things. And you know what I mean? Taekwondo, you know, baseball. It's once I got into third grade where
Travesuras.
ya comenzó todo.
Wow.
Everything started.
And okay, so before we go into, you know, what happened when you were in the third grade, I'm curious to ask, your mother and your father, were they together? Like are they together still?
Not my biological father.
Not your biological
my
father.
biological father left. I must have been like 3, 4.
3, 4 years old.
Yeah, that's when he, you know, took off. And but I do have a step-up father. That's what I call him.
Yeah.
Step-up father who has been part of my life since early. I must have said like, what, kinder, first grade?
Kinder, first grade?
Till date, you know. Have his name tattooed on my chest.
That's awesome.
So that's why I look as my dad.
So what would you say, you know, I mean, getting into like the sports, taekwondo, stuff like that, was that your step-up father that got you into those types of things? Did you have family that were into those types of sports?
No, actually, no. To be honest with you, the taekwondo, and that kind of goes into like my story, that my biological father is who put me into it.
Uh-huh.
So it was kind of forced upon me. To be honest with you, and like growing up, I was never really like a fighting kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say I was passive either. It's just fighting wasn't my thing. And so my father, he wanted me to fight. You know, I wasn't entered for the right reasons for self-defense. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to see you fight. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
crazy.
he was
And your dad, did he have like was there a history of addiction and stuff in your family? Or did that come from his side?
You know what? No. At least in my immediate family, which is like my mom, even my biological father, my dad, my sisters. No. Actually, my mom, my dad, they don't drink. My biological father never drank. My biological father smoked. I mean, there's the nicotine addiction to that. But when it comes to like illicit drugs or stuff like that, like no.
Wow.
Not at all. That was something I picked up.
Wow. So what would you say, you know, started happening around, like you said, the third grade? What was going on around that time that you just...
To be honest with you, bro, I think that's when I started to identify my friends' families. So then I knew like, oh, that's his real dad. This is my stepdad.
Oh, okay.
But to be honest with you, I even started to notice it within my family, kind of like my cousins and everybody. They were just kind of like, oh, well, step back. That's his stepdad. So then I saw the division, right?
Yeah.
So then I started kind of like rebelling, I guess you can say. So I guess in my own mind, bro, I started to identify like, well, he's not my real dad. So I need to like, I guess, rebel against him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to listen to him and, you know. But definitely as a kid, well, I needed a father figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, bro, I was born in 82. You know what I mean? So I was raised in the 90s. And, well, what happened in the 90s? Gangster rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the gang activity increased. And then I lived next to a park. And that's where the gang used to hang out. So I started to glorify these dudes. You know what I mean? And so just from the music that I was listening to and then seeing, you know, the gangsters next to my house, I was like, whoa, they had, you know, cars, they had the sound systems, they had the women, and it looked like they were having fun. So I was like, well, I want that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's even, I mean, would you agree that it's even more prominent in like a smaller little town too, like that, especially like with Nogales being so close to the border? I could imagine the influence was probably a lot more.
Well, I mean, just because it's smaller, I guess it's easier to spot.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? And because, to be honest with you, bro, that's the reason I moved to Tucson, because I was like, I want to be a real gang member.
Oh, wow.
You know
Okay.
mean?
All right.
You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking on any, you know, crews in Nogales or whatever, but it was so small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, to me, it was, bring it to Tucson where it's an actual city, not a town. Yeah. And I was like, and the real gang banging happens in a city.
I didn't realize how small Nogales was. I was looking up for some reason populations yesterday, and it's even smaller than like Sahuarita and Green Valley. It's only like 19,000. I didn't know that. I thought it was bigger than that.
I mean, put it to you like this: if you're running late to work and you're past 20 minutes, it takes 20 minutes to get everywhere around town. You know what I mean?
That's funny. So, all right. So that makes sense. And what, like, you know, Just curious, man. Like, what was the reason for your pops leaving like that? Like, why did he just up and leave?
Infidelity.
Okay.
Infidelity. He was a truck driver, so he used to drive a lot to Tracy, California, Fresno, like Northern California, and he would spend months gone at a time and stuff, and ended up just doing his thing in Cali. And but honestly, it was a blessing. So he was an abusive father. So he was abusive towards my mother and towards me, not my sister.
Okay.
But towards me and my mom, yeah.
It's very, very interesting, man. Like, having these discussions and talking about that, because we bring up a lot of generational curses, right? And it's not necessarily addiction. Sometimes it's anger. Sometimes it's, whatever it may be. I think I see a lot of similarities in your story with your pops that I do with my dad and his dad, and like the fact that you said that he was the one who had the interest in you getting into the fighting and, being abusive. It just shows that that's a generational curse from who knows how long he might have experienced that type of stuff. Right.
Right.
Right. But even as like, getting older, is it still kind of the same situation? Do you have any connection with him at all? Or is he just completely out of the picture? No.
So to be honest with you, like growing up, every so often, every like couple of years, he'd pop his head into Nogales, right?
Okay.
Because he has family in Nogales, Sonora, so he would pop in and show up. You know what I mean? And he was a huge car guy. Like he had Camaros, that was his thing, the Camaro IROC, and he would pop in and then just show up unexpected, and just me and my sister would walk out, get in the car, spend some time with me, 2-3 days. You know what I mean? He'd take us to the park or whatever, and then disappear for another couple of years. And then every so often he'd call over the phone and stuff. It wasn't until I think my sister graduating, so like 93, 94, where he disappeared. He didn't come back until like 2003, and I was already living in Tucson. By then, I already understood everything he did, and I had a clear picture of like who he was as a person. And they surprised me at my sister's house. My sister was like, "Come to a barbecue," and I noticed that he was there, and I didn't know how to feel, because my plan, to be honest with you, was always to like get revenge, physical revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had him in front of me, and my sister asked me like, "Please don't," So for the support for her, I was like, "All right, let me just chill. Let me just observe the situation." And I felt really uncomfortable. I felt no connection, right? So he was here probably for like a week. I was like 3 days that I spent around him, trying to like understand myself more than anything. And then he left, and again I reflected, and I was just like, no, it doesn't come natural to me to be around him, or you know what I mean, to feel the need to need him. You know what I mean? So then he disappeared for years, and when he came back, I was already like heavily in my addiction. I'm pretty sure he noticed something. He just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But by then I had a lot of resentment, because one of the last words he told my mom when he was leaving is, your daughter's going to be a slut and your son's going to be a gang member drug addict. And then I lived it. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of resentment for wishing that on me. And at that time, I remember he was having a conversation. He said something about like, "I'm your dad." And I was like, "You're not my dad."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I got my dad's name tattooed on my chest, and it's not yours." So it just kind of like moved them. Ever since then, like I haven't talked to him. He reached out a couple of times after that visit or whatever. And to be honest with you, I just ignored.
Yeah.
And I told my sister, was like, "Look, man, like just tell me, leave me alone." You know what I mean? And actually it's been like these past 2 years of my recovery where I've been really reflecting, especially with my recovery. I have to make a list and amends and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I wasn't willing in the beginning. I didn't wish him any harm or anything like that anymore, but I just kind of like just let it be, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a pivotal part of your life, man. I mean, from 10 to 20, he was pretty much not there. You know what I mean? And I think, praise God, bro, for all of the fathers that step up and do that, because, as a young man, we need that role in our life. Right. We need somebody to help keep us straight and to allow us to really see what the definition of a real man is, the respect towards the women, the way that you're supposed to treat people, business, all of these things, that your dad's supposed to teach you. But I also understand too, it's like, even if somebody steps up and takes that position, it's almost impossible to not look inward and think like, well, why the fuck isn't he here? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's great that this person's here or whatever. Right. But why the fuck isn't he here?
You know where it hit me in that perspective? So obviously the whole reflecting of kind of like, man, like I sucked, man. When it came to like, there was a lot of rebelling against my. When I say my dad, I'm talking about my stepfather, right?
Yeah.
He was law enforcement. You know what I mean? And I'm an active gang member and, you know, drug addict. And he was law enforcement. So there was a lot of fighting. And it wasn't until, so just some insight, my oldest son is not biologically mine.
Uh-huh.
So I'm the step-up dad. The youngest is biologically mine, right? So it's kind of like, I was trained for this. You know what I mean? I know what to do. And I know what not to do as well.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
It wasn't until my youngest son was born, and then I started to really look at the bigger picture of like both my kids and how much like I love them and a huge influence that they've been in my life.
Absolutely.
And then I thought like, you know what? That's when I stopped looking at him as a biological father, and I looked at him just as a man. And I was like, hey, homie, like, I can't believe you did that to me and you left. I couldn't do that to my kids, bro.
Yeah.
Couldn't. And it's like, so I really looked at him for, I guess, the lack of value. It was like,
yeah, it's interesting how that affects us.
You know what I mean?
So would you say that was, you know, probably the biggest reason for your acting out, you know, just that alone? Yeah.
And the whole gang stuff was, again, looking for like a male figure that I wanted or that I chose to look up to. And to be honest with you, it was a protection, bro. I had a fear. You know what I mean? The man that I was supposed to like look for protection used to beat me. So I feared a lot. I feared. So I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not get beat up or be that scared.
Yeah.
You know,
man. And I remember, I mean, you're my older brother's age, right? So it's like that music, bro.
Right.
I still say it. And I don't know if you agree with this, but my favorite hip hop album of all time is the All Eyes on Me, Book 1 and Book 2.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite hip hop album of all time. And I remember between Pac and Bone Thugs, bro, like, man, I was hit. Remember the box, dog? Do you remember that shit?
Where you ordered the
yeah,
CDs?
you just put,
like
you see them put in the number and all of a sudden the music video played, bro. Oh man.
Oh no, you're talking about the channel.
I'm talking about the channel.
Yeah.
You know, I always reflect on that, but yeah, I mean, the music was so influential at that time, and it's crazy because I mean, as an adult, you see, you know, I love hip hop still. It's just hard. It's like a love-hate relationship. I look at hip hop like an ex-girlfriend type of shit.
Right.
Like, I love the music, but at the same time, like what it represents and what it did, it influenced a lot of people. Dog.
Yeah. Well, the power of sound, bro. You know, the power of sound. It influenced me, you know, to that form of life. My first cassette tape was Kid Frost.
Which one?
For La Raza.
Oh,
that was the first. And then the second one was Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style.
Man.
So it is, it's Doggy Style, The Chronic, like all that. Like,
that's cool. I gotta give a shout out to Frost, man. He hopefully I'm gonna try and hit him up, see if he could check this episode out. But we worked together a little bit back in the day, man. He was a cool dude, bro. He helped a lot and stuff. But yeah, man, that music was so, and I got into that and I wanted to meet Frost because of my brother. I remember when Smile Now Die Later came out, dude, and
album.
I could still see the album cover, the artwork. Yeah, so badass, dude. And all of that music, bro. Oh, that was such a great album, dude. But yeah, I mean, so you got introduced to that lifestyle, and then, you know, the gangbanging and all of that stuff. When did that start for you? What age?
So it was, so in elementary, I had a really close friend of mine, Carlos, Carlitos Martinez, and he had older cousins, right? And they lived in the same neighborhood, and I don't know, for whatever reason, like my mom was a little bit passive when like I was out at night, 1 in the morning as a kid, bro, bike riding, and you know, and mainly with him. So we would go to these house parties that his cousin did, right? And I remember it was 4th grade where it was super late at night. It was in February because it was like a Valentine's party or whatever.
Yeah.
And we showed up and everybody had their 40s, you know what I mean? Because I was in, because Boys in the Hood and all that, you know? So everybody had their 40s, but I remember really clearly everybody wearing khaki pants and a Cleveland Browns jersey.
Cleveland Browns?
And they were all dressed as, well, they were Brown Pride.
Oh,
so they were all dressed the same. And I was like, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
I want this even more. But it's when we were walking over there, it was Calle Trinidad in Bafford. I remember perfectly. We knew they were, you know, active. And he turned around, he looked at me and he asked me, he's like, if you were to join a gang, what color would you choose? And till this day, I haven't talked to him about, you know, that conversation. I don't even know if he remembers. But I remember I took it super serious.
He was an older cat?
No, he was my age.
Oh, okay.
You know? We were just going to his older cousin's house. And he asked me, and I took it super serious. And that's where I made the choice. And I was like, nah, I'd pick this color. And after that, I just went on a mission, you know.
Dang.
It's like, so fourth grade, actually in fifth grade at elementary, I started my own gang because I wanted it that bad. We were called LA Kings because my initials is LA, LAG.
Yeah.
So we called it LA Kings. Everybody was wearing like Kings hats and everything. And we were walking around jumping people until it was a lot of us. And one of the kids ended up crying and he told the principal, and the principal calls my mom's like, your son started a gang. That's a problem. You know what I mean?
Fuck, dude, your empire had to get crashed early.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, damn, you know.
That's cool, dude. I mean, it's just funny to hear like the things that we do when we're kids. You know what I mean? LA Kings. Man, so how did like, you know, your mom and stuff and, you know, your dad being in law enforcement and everything, how did they react? I'm sure they noticed a change in you right away.
It was a fight.
Oh, shit.
And you know what? I gotta admit, you know, bless them because they show me resiliency. They never gave in. They never gave in. So it was a fight from beginning to the end, bro. I mean, they fought me on like, my mom's like, you're not going to dress like that. And she'd grab my pants and throw them away or cut them up. And I'd go out and find some more Dickies. And it was a battle.
Fucking
it was
hardhead,
a battle. Yeah. Yeah. And my mom worked at a church. So it was like, so I have a lot of friends, you know, who they had no other choice.
Yeah.
You know, like the street life was all they had. That's all they knew. And I wasn't like that, bro. I came from a good family. Like I have no other cousins that are gang members. It was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So definitely it's just imagine it was a huge fight. It was a huge fight.
Man. And you know, that just goes to show for all the, you know, parents out there, how much that part in time or how much the music is influential.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it draws in people that have families too, because it's just so enticing seeing the music and the clicas, bro. Everyone like, you know what I mean? And what was the one group? And I don't want to get too far off topic, but like, it was Frost and Bash, Latino Velvet.
Oh, Latino
bro.
Velvet, yeah.
Like I remember just the way that "Que pasa, homie?"
Yeah.
You know, tell me what you know about Raza Part. Like just the music and it was just so enticing. So I completely get it. It doesn't matter if you're from a family. It's just like it felt like family. Bro.
It catches your eye. You know what I mean? And well, we're social beings. You know what I mean? We want to be a part of something. But yeah, Latino Velvet, Low Profile Records.
Oh
like,
man,
you know, underground records. Like,
yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean I remember those times, and so it was a fight, you know, and yeah, applaud your family, give it up to them, man, because it's hard to set those boundaries. There's a lot of parents that I see now that I'm a parent that are very, okay, we'll just do whatever you want and play on the tablet and do this and that. Nope, that shit never flew at my house, dog.
Right.
My mom would smack the shit out of me if I did something, you know, and it seemed like your parents kept that.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. And what about your sisters? How were they acting with you?
So my oldest sister, she never really lived with us. She got married young, so she kind of did her thing.
Okay.
My mom had her when she was young as well. So my grandma had a lot more like involvement when it came to like raising her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but my middle sister, so my oldest is Maritza, but I've had always communication. I used to go stay with her and huge support. And then there's my sister Jeanette with the middle child. She's super nice, super empathetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The sweet one. You know what I mean? So she was always kind of try to filter. Like tell my mom, like, come down, mom. Like, and then come to me, like, don't do that again. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, yo.
Yeah.
Till date, they're both a huge support.
Wow, that's awesome. And so, you know, when it came to substances and stuff, was that something that you started dabbling in when you were in school? I'm guessing, like with the weed and starting off like that?
So again, through the whole finding attractive, the whole, gang life, I had a friend of mine who his older brother was a gang member. And so my friend used to drive like lowrider bikes. I was like, oh, I want one too. Wow, so I started going to his house, and this was in third grade. And I remember he left a sack of weed, and so we grabbed it. Come on, as kids, bro, we rolled the sorriest. You could just imagine it,
Yeah.
So we did used to go out to behind our house. There's like this little like El Monte.
Yeah.
So we used to make like little clubhouses back there and just like to kick it. And we went to one of the clubhouses and we sparked and we tried. And I remember, a lot of people say like, well, you don't get high the first time you smoke. I don't remember. I fell asleep, bro. You know what I mean? I crashed out. I remember being knocked out for a long time, but that's the first time I tried it. I didn't really pick it up. I went home and got in trouble. You know what I mean? Where were you? And all this, and I'm all confused. And I tried it like here and there from third grade and on, like maybe 2 more times after that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until 2000, it was my senior year, that I really picked it up. But see, for me, a lot of people say it. Again, nowadays, I'm not nor here nor there for it. I'm complete abstinence.
Yeah.
You know, I see some benefits. There's some cost. For me, it was a cost in the aspect of like, it was my gateway drug, because there's a fear and a respect that I had for drugs, right? There was a fear of like, what if I, use and I stay high? You know what I mean? Being from a small town, te quedas arriba.
Yeah, you see
Quedas arriba, you know what I mean? And so I had a fear like, what if I never come down? So there was that fear and that respect for it too, that it could get you to that level. But when I really started smoking, I lost that fear and respect. So the next drug was cocaine that was presented to me. I didn't have a fear of respect anymore. So it's like, all right, yeah, I'll try it. Let's go. And then after that, it was just,
That's so interesting to me too, because I think back of like, for me, it was always, even when I was a heavy smoker, I never wanted to touch the base because I knew that it wasn't the way that God had it. Like, it's not powdery on the plant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like that always freaked me out, because I remember hearing people say like, don't, you know what I mean? It's just interesting how everyone has their own little thing.
Right.
So like in school, you said you didn't smoke that much. It wasn't until your senior year when you really got enticed by it.
Yeah.
Did you end up graduating from high school?
Not from that school.
No?
Again, the trouble and stuff like that, like missing credits. And Peleonero.
Yeah.
And then I got transferred from Nogales High School to Rio Rico High School, got kicked out for intimidating other students.
Really?
And then I went to Strive High School, which is where I, not connected, but kind of was in the same area as Martin.
Uh-huh.
And he was on some right there too. Yeah, he was on another one right there too.
That's crazy, dude. Like seeing, not to get too far off topic, but seeing the people that we work with, man, the blessing of like, they're powerhouses. Martin is a powerhouse. You're a powerhouse. But even Chris was like, bro, Martin was...
You should have seen him, bro. He was like,
really
small, but his strong word. He had his backup. Like, I can vouch for him. I saw his story and the dude had some pull, so he was, pretty in there. But that's where I connected with him again. And that's when I decided, I was like, I got to move to Tucson to take my gangbanging to another level. I never wanted to be a mafioso, bro. Nothing like that. Like, no, that wasn't me. I was a cholo. It was with me, like, bring the packets up here.
Yeah.
I'll put them in corners. Like that was, the cholo thing to do. But I was kicked out of Strive. The principal called me in and he said, I heard that you're selling pills and you have a gun in your car. And I was like, I don't have a gun in my car. Can't talk about the pills, but I don't got a gun in my car. Like I don't, So he said, he just leave. I won't call the police. Just don't ever come back and just leave.
That was at the high school in Nogi?
Yeah. So that was an alternative school. Man. So I had cycled all the schools and nobody would take me in. But I did have a mission, again, coming from a good family. Like I have to graduate. And my mom always taught me, like a pen weighs less than a shovel. So get yourself an education, right? And even through the whole gangbanging and all that, like I still kept trying in school. So that's when I moved up to Tucson, and I actually went to a school right down the street on Pantano and Wrightstown. It was called Tucson Accelerated High School.
Okay.
So I graduated from there.
Oh wow. Okay. So that's good though. At least you were able to get that. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that that's where with me it was opposite. Even though I knew that I should have graduated, I felt like I graduated at the time for my mom and them, just because they kept bugging me.
Yeah.
But I never had any interest in getting, the diploma, which thank God, bro, that happened, because it's getting harder and harder. You know what I mean? You can't even work at McDonald's now without a fucking diploma.
Right.
So you got into the cocaine and this was after high school,
Around the same time.
Yeah,
senior year.
And how long did that last?
Until I came up to Tucson.
Until you came like officially?
So I moved it. So, 2001, I officially came to Tucson, right? Because again, kicked out from all the schools. When I was up here, I was partying. I mean, come on.
What side of town did you live at?
First, I started off in 12th and Drexel. And then I came to my sister's house right here on Coben Golf Links.
Yeah.
Then I got my own spot on Grant and Seneca, right behind Pima Medical Institute.
Okay.
Because after high school, I actually went to Pima Medical and got a certification for physical therapy there.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was at that apartment where it was just like, let's go.
Dang.
Let's go. And, but every spare time or any spare time that I had was going back to 12th and Drexel because that's where my homies were. Because a couple of the homies from Nogales moved up to Tucson to their sister's house. And being that we were banging, I was like, well, I got to go back to the South. So all the drug use was mainly over there and just bring, whatever was left to my apartment.
So was there a certain time where the drug use became like too much, where you weren't so much on like the, like with the packs and the corners and things like that, and like where it became like a hindrance where you just couldn't, the addiction became stronger?
Yeah, that was shortly after I met you.
Really?
Yeah. So I had started my, home studio, like record click. And, but honestly, it was a front to gangbang and sell. You know what I mean? So whenever they would show up to the house, any police, I was like, hey, we're a recording studio. You can check out the studio. It's right there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But come on, that's not what was really going on.
You're artist on the couch.
Nodded out. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at least 4 of us were performing, right? Yeah. And we did take it serious, We were gangsters who were rapping, not rappers pretending to be gangsters. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where we were living. And I got to say that, so I was doing shows. I was rolling around with Arizona Pride Car Club.
Okay, I remember them.
So it was right there towards the end where it's like I wasn't putting money into my car. My temper was like super like short fused. You know what I mean? So I was even fighting with some of the members there. And I was sergeant at arms, so I would focus on like some of the car shows and I would, get people in. But I remember in a couple of shows, I knew a couple other rappers like Black Truck Entertainment and then like a 3 Grand. And
shout out to Delinquent and Chance.
Right, yeah, remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I knew a couple of rappers and I remember your name came up and they're like, we're going to bring the homie. And I met you at I think it was a show at DV8's.
Oh, okay. That's what we met. So
then after that, I was like, hey, well, we're going to do a car show. Come perform for us. You're like, yeah, I'm down. Yeah, you showed up and you rocked the stage.
Heck yeah, man. No, that was cool. I really enjoyed doing the music. It's been a couple years since we've done it. Honestly, just kind of fell out of love with it. It's a bit bigger story than that. But yeah, man, I mean, it was, I thought maybe we had met with like the Desert Eagle days back in the day when I used to work with Little Fallon and all of them.
Yeah, see with them too. Little Fallon,
Shay and
LG the Gangster.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, shout out to them, man. Anybody listening, man, involved in that, 3 Grand, especially my brother actually went to high school with Zach Sasueta, and he was the 3rd member of 3 Grand. Pobrecito. And I remember when they started buzzing and they dropped their first album, Point Blank. They were Point Blank back then. Yeah. And my brother still has that CD, dude.
Really?
Yeah, dude. That's a classic right there.
So it was then, bro, that it was that car show, the one that you performed in. It was a toy drive. And
here in town, right at the park,
at Rodeo Park.
Yeah, I do remember
Rodeo
that.
Park. We had like a little trailer, and we were performing on stage right
that was
there.
Fun.
So, actually, I already knew I was struggling, right? Because I couldn't get off of it. I was in a relationship, and she had just kind of got fed up, and she was just like, you know what? Either you leave it or I leave. So I was like, all right, like give me till March. You know what I mean? So from December to March, give me till March, and I'll stop. And honestly, bro, from the bottom of my heart, I tried. I really did try, and I wasn't able to.
Did you have kids at this time?
No.
No? And what was your drug of choice?
So, but drug of survival.
Drug of survival.
Because choice, it was like, what you got? You know what I mean? Yeah. It really was that. But drug of survival was, at that time, I was already on heroin. So it was opiates. Really? It was opiates, yeah.
And what led you down that road? Like, was it just the same way, like you said, with the lack of respect and fear? Was that just you just tried it one day, or was there like a situation that got you hooked on them?
There's a situation, but I mean, so from Nogales, well, now it's Zanny bars. Back then in Nogales, it was Rochas. Yeah, you know what I mean, clonazepams, and so that's what I was taking in Nogales as well. But it was at Tucson Accelerated. I got into a fight and they broke my tooth. And I was having some toothache, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, well, here you go, bro. Take this. This helps for the pain." My dentist gave it to me, and it was a bottle. It had like the name of the dentist, his name on it. And I was like, oh, "All right, cool, bro." And I grabbed the cup, and he's like, "No, you can keep the bottle, bro. I got like 4 of them at home." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I I've always, again, I like to consider myself as a smart person. I used to do a lot of research on everything that I wanted, that I was interested in. Yeah. So I was like, "Are these addictive?" And he was like, "Nah, bro. My dentist gave it to him." And for some reason, I didn't do research. I just, okay, boom, 1 a day. And then within a week, 2 a day. And then I started, but it was daily. And then when I came towards the end of the bottle, I remember I had like one more. And I was like, I'm going to save that for when I really have that tooth pain. Because I like the buzz. I like the buzz. And I felt like I had the flu. My body hurt, bro. My nose was running, sneezing. My stomach hurt. And I was like, man, I've never had the flu this bad. And him and another one of my homies showed up to the house. And he was like, hey, bro, you look like crap. And I was like, I feel like crap, bro. I'm sick. Like, so don't get close to me. He's like, how do you feel? And I explained it. And he's like, watch, dear, pop this. And I honestly thought it was antibiotic. So I popped it instantly, bro. I started to feel better. And I was like, damn, bro, that's some really good antibiotics. I was like, that was a Percocet. And I was like, what? And he's like, that's what we call addiction, bro. And then and there, I knew what I had to do to not feel like that. That was it. That was it.
Man, that's a scary feeling, bro.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's really scary. So so it just kind of crept up on you without even realizing it.
Yeah. And the thing is, see, I really was addicted to cocaine. And in 2004, in another relationship that I was, she's like, look, I don't mind you smoking, but I do have a problem with the cocaine. So just stop.
Yeah.
And I did from one day to another, bro. So I felt invincible. I was like, oh, if I leave cocaine, I can leave anything. I can use anything and just leave it.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Bro, that's scary. I always, people will talk about certain substances, and then when they get to the opiates, it's like that shit just had a grip on me. For somebody, I never experienced that, so I can only try and understand, but the fact of feeling like that shitty, and then, instead of thinking like, damn, I got to get off these, your thought process is, fuck, I got to keep this going. You know what I mean?
Yep, at all costs.
And so that's what you were using during that time with that car show, as you were on the opiates.
No, by the time that we did that car show, I was on, Oxycontin. So the thing was, I had ended up moving on to Speedway and Pantano.
Okay.
And I met this old lady who had a script. Actually, that doctor's now like in prison, and Dr. Osborne, look him up. Like,
damn.
And he would prescribe a bunch of different opiates to her, and she used to get 240 30 milligram Percocets. 240 a month, and plus her methadone, like pills, and like a bunch of other pills, right? And so I was like, hey, how much? And she says, I'll sell them to you for $1. What? Yeah, hey, don't sell them anymore. I'll buy them every month. So $240. And then it was maintaining my addiction, and it was also making me money. So I was selling them for $15, $18, $20 each. So it was maintaining my high, and I was also making money off of it.
How much is that per month? If you 240 divided by 30, that's like at least, I'm curious because I want to know.
Watch, make the math. And I did that for like 6 years.
Let me fucking figure, because that's crazy that he was prescribing her that much shit. For anybody who's a mathematician out there, you can kiss my ass if you're judging me. I'm pulling out the fucking calculator right now. 240 divided by 30. So 8. So damn, bro, that's 8 pills a day for 1 month supply.
Oh yeah, easy. But see, when I started like that, it was obviously like 3 a day. And then, you know what, bro? It was a TV show in MTV. It was called True Life.
I remember that.
Okay. Well, I was watching it, and I remember they were filming an opiate addict, and he was like on the floor sitting next to the bed, and they showed him bust out the foil and the straw. And I was like, what is he doing? He's like, he's smoking the pills. And then he started explaining how he felt. And I was like, I looked at my friend, I was like, let's go get the foil. And that was it, bro. So when I started to smoke them, that's when I went up to like 8, 9, 10 a day.
No shit.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's unfamiliar with it, like, does it just hit you different? Is that what it did?
Definitely, bro.
Really?
Because when you would, take it orally, I always had like a soda we call it to become pop.
Yeah.
And then it was like a slow, gradually. But when you smoke them, it was intense.
Instant.
Yeah. You can feel the head rush, like the whole body got warm, like it was instantly.
That's crazy. And then you were talking about that Dr. Osborne guy. I cannot believe that somebody in that type of a position, not only that, but then when you were talking about the dentist, going back to those shows, we talk about this shit all the time. You got Dope Sick, during that time when they're fucking giving out this shit like candy, dude.
Well, check this out.
I mean, like these people that, like you said, it's from a doctor. I should be good.
So
Crazy.
check this out. Speaking of dope sick, I experienced that firsthand through the medical side, not as a patient. So I got the degree for physical therapy, and I started working at a clinic here in Tucson. It was called Quality of Life Medical and Research Center. And Medical and Research Center.
Yeah.
Right? So I used to see these drug reps come in and provide us like fancy lunches, bro, bring us all the swag and everything. I still have a clock that says, Oxycontin. And they gave us clocks, they gave us this, they gave us that. And they were doing research on these medications. That was the first time I actually heard the word breakthrough pain. And if you see the show Dope Sick, they say it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? And I saw the prescribing more, but because these doctors were being guided, we'll give them more. We'll give them more, give them more. And we had samples right there, and I saw them. I never did anything.
Samples, just give them out?
Samples, bro, to patients. Like, well, you know what? Here, try this, and this would help. And so there was like little sample bottles and stuff like that, like little packages. So I saw that. So when I see the show Dope Sick, it makes me physically sick. I was like, dude, I was part of that. I was working in the physical therapy department, but I saw it at firsthand. You know what I mean? At this research center, and it's an amazing place. Don't get me wrong. Like we work with what we got. You know what I mean? They were being guided by big pharma, and but I saw it. I saw it at firsthand, bro.
Grooming those doctors, dude. That's crazy.
Yup.
That's nuts. So that dude got locked up, huh?
Oh yeah. Look him up. I'm telling you, they found so he wouldn't take insurances. It was all cash. So that way he keeps the DEA off of his back. Eventually, and again, on that perspective, it's by word of mouth. I haven't done research on that, but I even heard that his son died of an overdose of opiates.
Just an educated drug dealer. That's all he is, bro. Just a smarter one. You know what I mean? You'd think, but
when they raided his house, it was more than $250,000, bro. He had cash. Yep.
That's nuts. Probably hidden in the walls and shit. All dark and shit. That's nuts, dude. All right. So you were getting these for $1 a pill.
Yep.
Which by the way, I've heard is what fentanyl is right now too, which is crazy. It's so scary out there. Yep. And so you were able to maintain a supply for a while with that type of shit. Until
she overdosed.
She overdosed, dude.
And passed away.
Pobrecita.
And I consider her a good friend. Her name was Kim.
Man, that's horrible, dude.
I really did consider her a good friend, like in Christmas, because I didn't like to go to Nogales because couldn't find my supply. I couldn't take it with me because of the checkpoint,
Yeah.
So I'd like to stay here in Tucson, but I used to sit there. I knew her daughter. Like, we would hang out. We would actually hang out. I think she was an amazing person. When she overdosed, she had a boyfriend that worked at Jack in the Box right down the street. This Speedway in Pantano, right? And I remember they kept trying. Well, sometimes she would get in moods and you would go knock and she wouldn't open, you know what I mean? Because she wanted to enjoy and not have people there, you know what I mean? And we thought it was one of those days, you know what I mean? She just wanted to kick back by herself. But she always opened the door for her boyfriend. And so the boyfriend went and knocked, didn't open. They went again, didn't open. After a couple of visits, they felt something and they kicked the door in and they found her in the bed.
It's horrible, man. And that's crazy. And at that point, when you experienced that, was there a realization? Like, to you, did it affect you at all, or was it just?
It definitely. That was the first overdose of a close friend that I experienced. So I was all over the place. Now, I get a little bit emotional because it sucks. Because, to be honest with you, the first thought that I had was like, where am I going to get, a supply?
Yeah.
And then this was a good friend, Now, obviously, as I appreciate her presence and her friendship that she had offered me, and I did think about that, but it wasn't the first thought.
Who was it that said it? I don't know if it was Chris. I can't remember who it was, but somebody recently said, every monster has a supply. Every monster is feeding off of something.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does. I could understand where you would feel that shame and that guilt for thinking that, but at the same time, bro, it's like, that scene in Men in Black where they open that fool's face and that little aliens and that shit all passed out.
Yeah.
That's the drugs, bro. When you're using the drugs, it ain't you in charge. It's not you in the wheel. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's something else that takes that place, Man, so what ended up happening after that? What made you, was it the lack of getting the supply that got you into the heroin?
So it was the price, because they were going for $15, $18, $20 each.
A pill.
And I had an addiction of 10 pills a day. So I was like, I don't have the money. And mind you, around that same time, my work, the physical therapy place I was telling you about, started to notice like something's up with this dude. Sometimes he shows up, he's just looks like crap. And then he leaves in lunch and he comes back full of energy. Like, what's going on? But they couldn't pinpoint it. They even tested me and I got fake pee and, used it. So I passed and they were just like, we almost got you. We know something's up, but we can't, catch you in it. So I ended up getting fired. It was a layoff, right?
Yeah.
And so, mind you, from the money that I was making from the ones that I was selling, in the beginning, I ended up, actually stacking up, some money. And I started using it well. So my savings. When I got super low, I had met through selling as well and through using this other homie of mine. We called him Ninja. And so he was a seller as well. So sometimes like we go back and forth, like, hey, bro, I need like 10 more. Oh, here, bro, just pay me back when you get yours. And he was going to another doctor on 4th. Same process. All cash, it wasn't Osborne, but it was the same. I don't remember his name. But so anyways, he lived with his sister. His sister was fed up with him or whatever, for whatever reason. She's like, I'm moving back to my mom's house. And he was like, oh, well, what am I going to do? And so I heard the opportunity is like, having, the plug in my own apartment. Like, yeah, but you should move in with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, I got an extra room.
Yeah.
That's where me losing, I guess, my dream. Like, I literally sold my hopes and my dreams, my studio. I had my own room for the studio, and I pulled it all out so he can move in. He had a son, too. His name's Angelo. And so I told him, I was like, look, bro, like, I got the rent covered because I had the support from my mom. And I was like, so your half, just pay me, and drugs. And just longer story short, one day he was just like, dude, you're spending a lot of money on pills. He said, you should just use heroin. And coming from a small town, I was like, no, what are you talking about, bro? I can't do that. That's at the top of that's at the top of the pyramid. Like, no, that's worst of the worst. And he goes, it's the same that you're doing it now. If you're smoking the pills, it's exactly the same thing. So remember I told you I was educated, I do research. Well, I went home, got on my computer, and I started doing research, and I was like, it is. All right, you know what? Okay, I only got $40. So I went back and I was like, all right, let me get some. And he goes, just the same way? He's like, yeah. He goes, you got to get used to the taste because it's super nasty. And, or at least it was to me. And I remember, trying it. And I said, well, I'll make it last, right? Because it's more potent, you know what I mean? So I'll make it last. I remember getting sick and like I made it last for like a week and a half. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I can do this. I just bought this for $40 and a week and a half, I got this. But well, we all know that it's progressive.
Man. So the relationship was gone. Everything that, you'd work for, the dreams of doing the music stuff was gone. So he was an addict as well, right? Yeah. And well, bro, it's like it's every man for themselves. Yeah. And there was times where he was running low, he wasn't selling because he needed, or his plug wasn't coming in and giving him whatever, and so he had a limited amount. And if he had a limited amount, I had none. So he'd tell me, I'll help you out here and there, and he did. And I remember one time I went up to him and I was like, hey, bro, like I'm sick. Can you hook me up with the piece? And he's like, everything that I have, it's all liquefied. So if you want it, here's a syringe. And I was like, hey, bro, I can't do it like that. Like, nah. And I seen a piece on the bathroom sink. And he's like, nah. He goes, if you want it, it's like this, homie. You got to make it last. This is going to take it to another level. And I was like, nah, then I'd rather just, stop using then. And I remember like going to my room and withdrawing and the cold, hot, the body aches and everything. And I think I lasted like, I don't know, good like 18, 19 hours. When I just couldn't take it anymore, I went and knocked in his door. He opened it up and I just put my arm. I was like, let's go, bro. I was like, I need it. And he did. And then I felt that rush and that was it. Like stereotypical how people explain it. Like once you go, like that's it. You don't want nothing else. So typical chasing the dragon is what comes into mind. Because like you said, taking the pills was one way. I'm sure when you first started, that felt great. And then it's like, you start smoking the pills and that's great. But eventually it loses, the honeymoon phase goes away. And all of a sudden you're just doing it to stay straight. So intravenously was the same thing. It was just like to another level. Oh, yeah. But with every high comes a different low. Yep. Right? Oh, yeah. And how long did that last, dude? So
The first time that I injected, it was...
How many years?
Oh, snap, bro. 10.
10 years.
10 years IV use. So at the end of 2016, I was losing it all. I remember I took my studio equipment to the pawn shop on 22nd and Cole.
2016. That's not that long ago, dog. That's
I know.
crazy.
I know.
Wow.
But I took my studio there to the pawn shop. I was like, hey, how much would you give me for this? You know, the computer, the monitors, the speakers, the microphones, the mixers, like. And he looks at me and he literally like just looked me up and down. He's like, I'll give you $80. I was like, oh, come on, bro. I was like, $80. And he's like, if you want what you're looking for, you'll take $80. That's what he told me.
Damn, that's messed up, dude.
And I was like, let me go get the turntable, see if you give me more. So I went to go grab the turntables, came back in. I walked out with a 120. And right there, as I was walking out, I was crying, bro. Because I worked so hard to build this studio. I had to educate myself. Nobody taught me. Like I had to educate myself how to record, and I never knew like mastering, bro. I never knew that. Like I just recorded, sounded raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was good lyrics, you know. And everything that I educated myself and everything that I worked for, like I sold it for a fix. You know what I mean? And so in 2016, like as I was losing everything, relationships, like everything, friendships, it was just me and my homie Ninja and his son. And I love his son to death, bro. And I started going back to Nogales to like work, and Nogales had a produce. And so one day I was sick. I would leave produce and I would drive to Tucson because I didn't know anybody in Nogales that used. Nobody really used in Nogales when I was there. I think Martin was one of the only ones. And so I would drive up and down every day to come get, and I would go to him. And I made a plan, right? And I remember like I had no money because I didn't get paid. I went into my mom's purse. I stole her debit card. I grabbed the car and I stopped by one of my homies. My homie Tito, they called him Criminal. He was from KBP. I don't know if you remember the Chronic Blazing Players. They used to beef with $3,000.
No, really?
Yeah, the song Peanut Butter and Jelly, it was about them. So they used to go back.
Really?
Yeah, they used to go back
shit!
and
I'm about
forth,
to pull
bro.
that out there.
Yeah, they used to go back and forth, and I was in the middle, like.
That's good times, bro.
Right, I know, interesting and fun.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I pulled up and he was like, "Nah, I don't want to go with you to Tucson, bro." And I was like, "I don't want to drive by myself, bro. Come on, let's go." And I was trying to convince him, and I had already talked to my boy Ninja. He's like, "Yeah, stop by." When my homegirl Linda, who was really close with us, called me, she was like, "Hey, Ninja died." I was like, "What are you talking?" I just talked to him like an hour ago. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, "He overdosed." So she told me that he overdosed, and Angelo, the son, which he was 4 years old then, walked into the room and then walked out and told Ninja's mom, like, "Daddy's not responding. He doesn't want to wake up." So they went in there. They noticed it. The sister pulled him out, did CPR, called the ambulance. They revived him with Narcan. He survived.
Oh, my God.
They found all the stuff. They took it, and then he left. Or the EMTs, firefighters, and police department left, right? So as soon as they left, he called her because she used to buy large amounts, right? Ounces and stuff like that. And she was a heavy user as well. So she called and he said, "Hey, do me a favor. I just sold you 2 ounces. Yeah, bring me one back. And because this just happened, bring me one back because I'm feeling sick. And tomorrow when my plug comes, I'll pay you double and I'll give you 2 for free." And she was like, "Okay." So she went back. She gave him an ounce. He used again, overdosed. And this time he didn't come back. So within 2-3 hours, he overdosed twice. And the second time was...
Oh my God, bro. That sounds like a movie plot. How horrible.
Yeah, Luis Carrillo, Ninja.
Rest in peace, brother. Oh my God, that makes my heart hurt, dude. More for his son, you know what I mean? You know, not to get too off of the topic and stuff, but how is he doing?
So I haven't had any contact with Angelo.
No. What is he?
The mom blamed a lot of us.
Yeah.
She didn't do a funeral because she didn't want nobody to show up. And I saw him in the obituaries, and I got the picture. I still have it saved. Actually, as soon as I got the phone call that he had passed away, my mom called. And she was like, "You better bring me back that debit card. Like, I swear to God." Like, da, da, da.
Oh, man.
And that's when I said, I was like, "Mom, I'm on my way back home." And she was like, "That easy? You're not going to fight me?" I was like, "No, I'm not going to fight you." And I said, "Make sure that my dad's there. I need to talk to you guys, but I need you guys to listen. I need to say something." So I got home and they were sitting in the kitchen. And I told her, I was like, "Ninja just died." And my mom was like, "Oh my God. And what happened?" I was like, "He overdosed." And she's like, "Oh my God." And she started crying for him. That was the first time. My mom always knew something was up. She just could never pinpoint. She didn't know what it was, right? She knew I was struggling with something and even a little bit of denial. You know what I mean? Like, But that was the first time that I unbuttoned my sleeves and I showed her my arms. And my mom's like, oh my God. And she broke down. She blamed herself. You know what I mean? She blamed herself. She's like, I should have gave you more time. I should have fought you more. I knew something was up. I just couldn't pinpoint what it was. Like, I should have paid more attention. She blamed herself. And I was like, Mom, I just need you to understand that had nothing to do. You guys did fight me. You know what I mean? The one that chose that lifestyle, I didn't even have to live it. But the one that chose to live that lifestyle was me. That's why I moved to Tucson. I was like, that's why I moved to Tucson. I was like, because I couldn't get you guys to see anymore. I didn't want my reputation in the streets to affect my dad's badge. I definitely didn't want his badge affecting my choice of lifestyle. And I was like, there's nothing you can do. But what I'm telling you now is that I need help and I don't want to die. That's when I started to look for help for the first time.
What's going on, guys? I'm so sorry to have to do it to you, but we're going to have to stop this episode right here. Thank you guys so much for listening, and make sure you tune in next week for part 2 of this week's episode. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Much love. God bless. Peace. What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the ARCast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody you need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the ARCast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.